and be tamed. It's just, it just is what it is. So, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ian is a Weirdo. You might have noticed from my last couple videos on both my channels, I have a new channel, by the way. You can find it at the ampersand sign, not the ampersand sign, the at sign, Ian is a Weirdo 2. It's that simple. I'm just trying to get the ball rolling on another channel. But I want to talk about what it's like to be mentally ill, because mental illnesses are kind of flaring up lately. They've been flaring for a while, and I've just been trying to put out fires where I can. And I just wanted to talk about my experience, because it's been a little while since we kind of delved into the levels of my crazy, if you will. And I figured, why not? I haven't slept. And my body is like, please sleep. My brain is like, keep going. So I guess I'm gonna listen to my brain on this one, because I can't sleep without medicine. Couldn't take my medicine because I had to get my wife to the airport. So it's gonna be a rough day. But I'm gonna just keep making videos, apparently. So I'm gonna talk about my individual diagnoses. And I'm gonna kind of try to ramp up in difficulty for me right now. So if I start with something, it doesn't mean that it's not severe. It doesn't mean that it's not important. It just means things that bother me right now. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, where do I start? Everything's bothering me. Well, let's address the elephant in the room. I have insomnia. Could be a byproduct of any of my mental illnesses, really. And I can't sleep without medication. And welcome in the room. Thank you for the like. Yeah, so I just want to talk about my experience, and maybe you can relate, maybe you can't, maybe you'll learn something. I don't know. Whatever you want, we're all friends here. Maybe you can talk about your experience again if you want. But yeah, insomnia, had it as long as I can remember. My dad has it as well. It not it so I like to think that there's two types of insomnia. One is your body can't sleep. So your body is active. And I know this from anecdotal evidence. I know this happens with people who have a lot of chronic pain. Your body's just screaming at you. How are you supposed to sleep with that? That's not the type of insomnia I have of my two classifications. I have the kind of insomnia where your brain doesn't shut the fuck up. And it's sticking straight up. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah, I just did that. It did nothing. This hair is bonkers. Anyways, okay. We're gonna get to ADHD later. Don't worry. Um, so, so yeah, just trouble sleeping, which coincidentally is not good for your mental health. Not sleeping regularly, not eating regularly, all those things actually do affect your brain. And your brain needs rest. I also sometimes sleep way too much. Don't know what that's about. My body just, they say everyone's body naturally needs a certain amount of sleep. Apparently my body my body needs 16 hours of sleep a night. I don't know what that's about. It's rude. I have a life to live. I have things to do. I have crochet to do. Look at all this yarn. So that's the elephant in the room. And so my next thing that I want to talk about that whole increasing in difficulty thing it's out the window because they're all bad. I went to sleep. I went to bed around 4 a.m. I woke up at 10. Hey, Lydia, I have not slept at all. Maybe you can tell by how tiny my eyes are. I'm like trying to keep them open. It's just not working. Okay, I have tiny eyes anyway, so it didn't help. But I'm glad you got a little bit of sleep. I know that's not a lot of sleep, but at least you got a little bit. So, so this next one is I am undiagnosed. And I want to be clear that I am undiagnosed. However, I have brought it up to many a professional. Go to bed. I can't. I have insomnia. I need sleep medication, but sleep medication will make me go down for at least 8 hours, up to 16 hours. And I have a therapy appointment at 7 p.m. So I can't go to bed. It's just, I tried all my usual tricks. Nothing worked other than sleep medication. Hey, Cammie, you went to bed at 2, woke up at 3, fell asleep again, and woke up at 6:15. Whew, wow, you all are making me feel tired just talking to you. But I am also tired from just not sleeping. So, a lot of professionals believe I have ADHD. The treatment for ADHD is generally medication. And I don't know if there's any therapy, like talk therapy for ADHD. They can help you like figure out hacks to, trick your brain into actually doing shit, but like really like medication is the thing. And I have another diagnosis that the medications don't really go together. We'll get there. So ADHD, for those of you who don't know, there's 2 types. These are not made up types by me. These are actual types. There used to be ADD, attention deficit disorder, and ADHD, attention deficit hyperactive disorder. They have since merged in the DSM-5, which is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. I feel like I'm talking weird. Sleep deprivation. It's crazy. For the 5th edition, they merged those 2 diagnoses into one with 2 subtypes. So ADHD is now just ADHD. There's no more ADD. And there's hyperactive. And those are the types of people you see bouncing off walls, kind of generally what you think of when you think of ADHD. And then there's inattentive type. And I have, it looks like all signs point to inattentive type for me. This manifests in a bunch of different ways for me. I lose track of what I'm talking about constantly. I have trouble with listening to people talk because like sometimes I'll focus on their mouth moving and I just like I zone in, I hyper focus in on their mouth and I don't hear any words. It's like my ears stop working. So I often have to have people repeat things for me. I know that a lot of people have this and are still able to work and live normal lives. If you do work with this, there are workplace accommodations that work really well with ADHD, no matter what type you have. You can have people write things down. You can have people email things so they're in physical form. Yes, preach. So if you are working, there are a lot of places will do workplace actually, technically they have to, I think under the ADA, the American Disability Act. with disabilities. It might be plural, I don't know. But I think they have to do workplace accommodations. So if you're like, hey, I can focus really well for an hour and then I need like 5 minutes to kind of collect my brain and then I can be back on, like they have to accommodate that. So like if you're working, that might be something to note. I didn't know that when I was working. I didn't know what to ask for. I knew I could ask for accommodations and everyone was telling me to ask for them. And I had no idea what to ask for because I'm like, can you just like make me like let me not work and I get paid? Because like that's pretty much what my brain's telling me right now. So like so so people talking, that's really difficult for me. If noises are happening, um, like in the distance or even like right nearby, like let's say someone's talking to me and my dog is scratching his leg, I will only hear my dog scratching his leg and I cannot hear the person talking to me. When I was volunteering eventually, I was able to go into the Venmo zone and look at what needed to be done. Cool. That's awesome. I mean, Kimmy, you did great work. I'm so proud of you for volunteering. I think that what you did was awesome. And you did a lot. So you should be proud. So also so ADHD is often, everyone's like, oh, like, ooh, shiny, like that. Like that is a component that something distracts you, you focus on that, everything else disappears. That is definitely a factor in ADHD. But another factor is hyperfocus. So this used to be really helpful for me when I was studying. Once I learned how to harness the ray of hyperfocus into what I was studying, I would be in it and like hours would go by and I would just be like, done. So like crochet is really interesting for me because like sometimes I'll like pick it up, I'll do 2 stitches, I'll get distracted and then I'll put it down. Or like when I'm doing a live, like I did that 2-hour live and did 4 rows of something like this small. Like so it really varies, but so you do have the ability to hyper focus, but you don't always get to choose when you get to hyper focus. So and then sometimes your focus is too expansive and you can't land your eyes on any one thing. And the way it manifests for me is like, I mean, it happens in a lot of situations, but like one thing is like my pantry. Like I'll open the door and there's items everywhere. Like I get like, I literally just got shivers just thinking about it. And I'll be like, there's nothing to eat. And the pantry's full, but I'll be like, there's nothing to eat because I can't see anything. Like it's like you either get like tunnel vision or you get blown out vision, and it's either or. It's you don't get you don't get to like find a middle ground sometimes. So there are like everything that I'm talking about exists on a spectrum. Some people have very mild ADHD. Some people have very debilitating ADHD, and I'm somewhere in the middle. Who knows? My friend who taught me how to crochet asked Lady high up in Goodwill Management to speak to the hiring person. My friend got to me and said that the startup things. That is awesome. Yeah. That's so cool. It's like the thing is like crochet, crafting, it just brings people together and you just make such strong bonds with people, and then you get like a network of people and it's cool. I love that. So yeah, so uh I guess the name, I've heard it, so I'm just saying that that's the official name of that pantry experience for me. Is choice paralysis, where like you have so many choices that like you can't choose. And it's this really weird phenomenon. I was working with a dietitian for my eating disorder, which I will talk about next. Like me, when she said, I think lied to me when she said she had no job openings. Oh, I'm so sorry. You know, people are just people. I mean, I can't say it any other way. You never know, but you just got to keep moving on, put one foot in front of another. That's what they tell me, so I'm telling you. What was I talking about? This is ADHD. Losing your train of thought. The train gets derailed all the time. And you just like, or sometimes you just like, your mind goes blank and you're just like, what? Where am I? That happens to me too a lot. I look in the pantry, I want to eat something, but there's nothing to eat. I know. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. Oh yeah, but the lady, the nutritionist I was seeing for my eating disorder, which is my most recent diagnosis, she was so focused on eating disorders that I don't think she understood choice paralysis and how ADHD, like, how it works. Like, I don't think she had any idea about anything with ADHD. It was very clear, especially at the end. Another thing with my ADHD is time is wiggly. And I say this all the time. Time is wiggly. Oh wait, you taught yourself to crochet and knit. That's so awesome, Lydia. Yeah, I took a class on knitting at like Michael's when they did classes. Do they still do classes? I don't know. Maybe some stores do. And that was years and years and years ago. And then I picked it up like 10 years later. And was like, seems fun. And then I taught myself how to crochet when I was in residential. But like another thing is like time is really difficult. Like if you asked me, like if I didn't have the clock right up here, telling me how long I've been talking, I would say that I have been talking for about 3.5 minutes. Like honestly, like that's what I think. And then I look at the clock and it says 18 minutes. And I'm like, what the fuck? So sometimes time goes super slow and sometimes it goes super fast. I miss appointments all the time. I like all the time. I'm constantly late. I can't get my shit together. I also miss meal times, and so I'll just not eat. And so this was another part of. They said it was part of my eating disorder, but it's part of my ADHD. Like they're different. A lot of these things overlap and play into each other. But like I wasn't consciously like, let me not eat. I love food. I want food sustains me and lets me live. So like I gotta eat it. But like, I just like I forget. Like I forget and eat like one meal a day sometimes. And I just like that's like not. Party starts at 7. I've been walking for that party house. Well, okay. Sorry, I gotta reread this. My eyes are like blah, 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 blah. Sometimes like black and then white font really just fucks me. I have the ADHD time where if a party starts at like 7 p.m., I have to be walking in the door of the house for the party right exactly 7 p.m. To me, that sounds a little bit like OCD. I'm not diagnosing you. I'm not diagnosing anybody. I don't have the credentials. I got other credentials, but I don't have those credentials. But that to me, I'm only saying that because I believe you've told me that you have OCD. So if that's not true, please disregard. But like my ADHD is like time is a construct. Oh, okay. Okay. Cool. I thought I remembered that, but I wasn't quite sure, so I didn't want to put that on you. But yeah, like to me that sounds very like more like an OCD like compulsion. I've learned a lot about OCD from my wife. I'm not going to air her dirty laundry, but to be honest, I didn't know a lot about OCD before we got together. And like this is kind of why I wanted to make this video. Like my impression of OCD, there's a stereotype of what a mental illness looks like, right? Like, people think of eating disorders and generally they go straight to a person who is very malnourished and has maybe some kind of like anorexia or something like that. But like, that's not what mental illnesses actually look like for everybody. This is super generalization. I thought OCD is your pens have to be, parallel on your desk and things like that. And sometimes it is, but there's other things that OCD can manifest in. So I'm not going to talk about OCD too much because I only know my wife's experience and what she's told me. So I don't want to because like OCD is much more massive in like what it can be than I ever knew. So yeah. Um, so let's talk about eating disorders. And if any of this is triggering for you, feel free to click out. I don't want to trigger anyone. That's not my goal. I just want to talk about what I experience. And if that helps people, then I like want to help people. If it doesn't help, I'd rather not do any harm. I don't have ADHD or the other one. I have very bad depression. I also get frustrated and mad so easily. I'm sorry to hear that. Those are really strong emotions to deal with. Um, I live with someone who has bipolar disorder. Yeah, I got it too. Yeah, I mean, all of these things, like when we think of them without knowing someone who has them, we narrow what we think that disease looks like, but really it can exist in so many ways. So I'm sorry to hear that, Lydia. And Cami, uh if you ever want, I don't know if you like reading books. um there is a really great book that my wife has, and it's called When Someone You Love Has Bipolar Disorder, and it was written by someone with bipolar disorder, and it's very compassionate, and it's also explains more. I learned even more about bipolar disorder from that book, even though I've had it since I was 15, or I got diagnosed at 15. So if you want that book and you want to understand the condition more, and maybe what that person experiences but hasn't told you, that's a great book. It's always my top recommended book of any book ever. Pretty much, I'm just like, even if you don't know someone with bipolar disorder, just read the book so you understand me. My eating disorder. So I did not get diagnosed with this particular eating disorder. However, I do think I was misdiagnosed with which eating disorder I had. So I believe, and a lot of people I've talked to that weren't my terrible nutritionist and my terrible food therapist, yeah, they have food therapists. I didn't know that. but they have food therapists that work in conjunction with your nutritionist to like work through food trauma. So I'm gonna try to talk about this in a way that doesn't incriminate anyone who has caused me trauma. And the reason why is because trauma can happen from any like you can experience trauma from anything. Like a light could flicker and like somehow that became like a huge event in your body, in your mind. So like it doesn't necessarily mean someone intended to traumatize you if you have trauma. So I don't want to put that on people, but I also have to live my experience. So it's like, what do I talk about? So I'm gonna try to pick my words carefully, but I'm very tired, so I might slip up. So I believe how I started gaining weight is when I started taking my ADHD medication. Wow. Yeah. I mean, like, and ADHD medication, a lot of people lose weight because they lose their appetite, but you can go the complete opposite way. People don't understand that, like, things like, just like, how do I explain it? Like, some of my medication side effects, they'll be like, you lose weight or you gain weight. So you could do either. And a lot of people tend to gain weight. I know I did with my medication, but like some people lose weight. Or it's like you sleep too much or you sleep too little. So it's like, I read that book. I don't have it now. I think I do have eating problems. I do love eating junk food. When I was on my depression medication, it made me eat and a lot of junk food now. Yeah, that honestly, like side effects of medications, I could do a whole nother video on that. They can do some crazy things. I mean, they can be very, very helpful, but have side effects that are not helpful. So I'm sorry to hear that. Um, like it's like that, when you're on these medications, you're constantly like weighing the pros and cons of every medication you're on because like there's so many side effects to all these medications. So I have an eating disorder, I believe, and many people believe, called RFID, which is an acronym. I don't quite remember what it is about. I don't remember what it is. But a lot of people who are on the autism spectrum experience RFID symptoms as well. I am not on the autism spectrum, but I do exhibit RFID behaviors. So RFID for me manifests in a couple different ways. One, I am very sensitive to the texture of things. Um, like, for example, like I became a pescatarian, which means I don't eat meat other than fish. And I didn't do it for, moral reasons or ethical reasons or anything like that. You're off the med, your doctor took you off of it. Okay. Well, are you feeling better? Are you feeling okay? Like, that's what really matters. Like, are you feeling okay? And I know with depression, with any mental illness, any illness, period, you got your good days, you got your bad days. I am with foods. I know we have junk food, and I see junk foods, and I see food, and I eat said food and junk food. Yes. Yep. Um, the thing is, I just like, I kind of don't see food. So I became a pescatarian because like one day, like a switch flipped, and all of a sudden the texture of all meat other than fish was absolutely disgusting to me. Like, I'm talking things I loved, like bacon, hamburgers, steaks, any pork. Like, chicken, ugh, can't do it. I can't do that texture. And it's something that, like, everyone has, like, a different, like, everyone who has RFID, who has texture issues, like, there's some kind of texture that they don't like, and it just bothers them. And that's how it is for me. And some people will, like, gag, some people will throw up. I just, like, spit it out, and I'm like, it just gives me, like, the heebie-jeebies. Oh, yeah, it's a lot better. I keep my hands busy and do YouTube channel. I'm so happy to hear that. Depression's really rough. Depression is really rough. A lot of these things are really rough. But RFID for me, so I have that texture thing. I also have, like, food trauma related to certain areas. Like, the stove grosses me out. The pantry overwhelms me. And the fridge is absolutely disgusting to me. And I, like, so I have food-related trauma, based on food insecurity when I was younger. And food insecurity often means you don't have food to eat. For me, it meant I didn't have food that wasn't rotten to eat. Things did not get thrown out. And now I just think everything is contaminated and gross because it's in the fridge, and I hate it. I hate it. I wish I could just go into the fridge and be a normal fucking person, but I can't. My brain. So that's my eating disorder. As you can tell, I'm very calm about it. Why does this hair, like, okay, maybe, like, just go down? I don't know. It's distracting me. I'm just, like, staring at it. Like, trying to, like, will it to go down with my mind. Okay, so, yeah. So next I'll talk about agoraphobia. And agoraphobia, has a reputation for you can't leave the house. And that is, like, a very, very, very simplified way of viewing it. So, I did some research on agoraphobia, as I developed it. This is, something that developed up in me in the past, like, 3-4 years since I had my fall from grace. And it seems like the way my brain works is I have to constantly keep eating, or else I'll wither away and not survive. Yeah, brains are weird, man. Brains are weird. That should have been the title of this video. Brains are weird. And, like, I consider myself weird, and my brain definitely follows suit. So agoraphobia. So I read a brief description of it, and then I, like, read some other stuff, and someone said agoraphobia is not the fear of what, like, is going to happen when you leave the house. It's not like, oh, if I leave the house, someone's gonna murder me. That's not agoraphobia. That's something else, but it's not agoraphobia. Agoraphobia is the fear of, so, like, you create this, like, I envision it as this, like, kind of, like, invisible wall, like, glass wall in my bubble. And it is my bubble. And, like, if I go outside of that, my body will just disintegrate and just cease to exist. Like, it makes no sense. Agoraphobia is one of, I always say it's the silliest disorder, because, like, it makes no sense. Like, it's such an irrational fear, but it is so stifling. And I have to tell you that crochet is the only reason I leave the house. Yarn is the only reason I leave the house. It's that bad. I feel like I have to go somewhere every day. Yeah. And that could also be a compulsion. But yeah, when you feel that like pull, you got to do something. It's really hard. It's very uncomfortable to fight those feelings. So agoraphobia, for me developed when I had a really bad bipolar episode that just was kind of beating me down, and I felt like I was hurting everyone in my life, and I couldn't stop hurting people, and not like physically hurting people, but like emotionally hurting people, and like being flaky, and like being so depressed I can't get out of bed to like do my obligations, or like, things like that. Like I just I felt like I was just hurting people. And so I feel like it developed because, like, if I stay in my bubble, I can't hurt people. And felt excluded. But I don't have a license, so I rely on my parents to take me places. And parents who don't feel like they want to go anywhere is hard. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I could totally see that. When things get in the way of what your brain feels like it needs, it is a really, really tough situation. Cammie, I totally feel for you. So agoraphobia has been like a new huge irritation in my existence. And yeah, so I didn't always have it. I don't believe it's hereditary. It might be trauma informed. I don't know. Or trauma based, or whatever the term is. So speaking of trauma, I have PTSD. Some may say CPTSD. CPTSD is complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Without the C, it's the same thing, just without the C. So the difference between the two, so CPTSD is not in the DSM-5, if I'm correct. I might be, I might not be, who knows. But PTSD is, so that's why they like might diagnose you in this, but they treat you like you have CPTSD. So CPTSD, so you get PTSD from a traumatic event or traumatic events in your life. And how you respond to that could be anything. 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 So you could not have control over your emotions. You could get triggered very easily. You could rarely get triggered. Random things could trigger you that you don't think would trigger you. People like to joke about, people getting triggered, blah, blah, blah. But like PTSD triggers are fucking for real. For real. Like, trying not to incriminate people. But for me, if I hear, so my dad is partially deaf. I added your second channel. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Lydia. And complex borderline, no, sorry, complex PTSD is when you are exposed to traumatic events for a long period of time. So a lot of the times, like, people usually associate PTSD and CPTSD with combat veterans because of what they experience. But you don't have to experience that particular trauma to have trauma. You can, like I said, anything could cause you trauma. Like this picture could fall and it startles me, and all of a sudden I am like afraid that all pictures will fall. That's a really exaggerated like way to put it, but I'm just saying anything can cause you trauma, and it's totally valid. Like, how trauma is not what someone intended to do to you, Did I say that right? Trauma is what you experience from that event. So it's valid to be traumatized by anything and be triggered by anything. And that sucks. It's just a shitty circumstance. Like, PTSD blows. All these mental disorders blow. Who made this up? Who's messing with my brain? But so my dad is partially deaf, and he listens to the TV really loud. If you don't know, I live in my parents' basement. Fall from grace, lost my apartment, had to move in with my parents. Please don't touch me. I'm not proud of it. I had to do it. My brain stopped working. But if I hear yelling, so I can often hear what he's listening to through the floor. Like, that's how fucking loud it is. And I'm like, just get hearing aids. But he's like, I always put them in my pocket and wash them. I'm like, don't put them in your pocket, put them in your ears. But anyways, sorry to complain about my dad being deaf. But if someone is yelling, that is a big trigger for me. And like, not always, but like when it is a trigger, it's a big trigger. And like how I feel it is like arresting. Like, I've been on lives and I've heard yelling on the TV upstairs, and I was like frozen. And so like PTSD, like they often talk about fight, flight, or freeze, like, and it's how you react to like getting triggered, basically. And I froze. I don't still live with my parents. I never left home. Yeah, I mean, there's so many circumstances in life that just gonna lead us to where we are, and we just have to deal with them, I guess. I'm not happy about it, but it is what it is. I have no choice. When you don't have a choice, you're just like, I don't know what else to do. But yeah, so I was on a live and I heard this yelling on the TV, and I froze. And I was trying to like cope with it. Like, therapy is really effective for PTSD. There's certain types of trauma. Also, my hearing is in my left ear infection. I have hearing aids. Oh, I didn't know that, Lydia. Yeah. My dad has like high frequency hearing loss. And which is really common, especially in men of a certain age. And he just is kind of like making the world cope with his deafness rather than him coping with his deafness. But, not my decision. It's his life. I just have to deal with, whatever comes from it. So, yeah, I just stopped the live. I had to stop. I had to go. I had to run. My instinct is to run, run away. So I kind of freeze, and then I flight. Gotta get out of here. But for me, I have to get out of the house, and so it overrides my, like, that's the thing. It's like sometimes like things like step in front of one another, and they're like, okay, I'm in charge now. I'm the captain now, and so like my PTSD will like override my agoraphobia, and I will be like, I need to leave the house. I'm just gonna go to a store. I don't care what store. I'm going to Walmart. Like, I don't care. So that's what PTSD is like for me. I have other triggers, but like it's not really worth mentioning. But like, like you can be anywhere and get triggered. You can be doing anything and get triggered. Like there's no wrong. Like you're not wrong because you got triggered by something. Because I feel like society, like, and again that whole getting triggers in people. Why do I have to put a trigger warning on things? And it's like they are really like they can rock your world. It may be just a second. You may have a full-blown panic attack. You may like fucking shave your head. Like anything is possible. PTSD is a wild one. So if you have a partner with PTSD or you have PTSD yourself, knowing your triggers, communicating to the people around you, when you got your problems. I've been all the ages. I got my problems. So PTSD, I didn't get diagnosed with it until I was probably 25, 26. But I had signs probably in like middle school, high school, because it was childhood trauma. So that's my PTSD. The eating disorder thing, I mean, I only recently got diagnosed with it, but I have always been like that. Always. Like, I've never liked nuts. Like, I don't like the texture of nuts. They are chalky to me, and it is disgusting. And I hate them. That's like one of the textures I just hate. And so, but I love peanut butter, like because like, but I don't like chunky peanut butter. I like smooth peanut butter because it is so fine that you don't get that chalkiness. I don't like raw tomatoes, but I love ketchup. Things don't have to make sense for you to not like them. Moral of the story. I got diagnosed with bipolar when I was 15. I also got diagnosed with borderline personality disorder when I was 15. But trigger warning, I did try to kill myself when I was 12. So, I like some the thing is, some things are environmental, some things are genetic, some things are both. So, or they could be either or. So it's like you can get problems whenever. But I've basically always had a problem, at least. So I talked about agoraphobia, I talked about PTSD, and I mean, a good example of how PTSD can manifest differently in different people is my older sister has PTSD, and her like PTSD manifests very differently than mine. And like it's like you have to go, like there are a lot of treatments for PTSD, but I kind of think it never really goes away. It's just like there's a lot of therapy methods that give you a lot of tools, and there's the main method is called onion peeling, where you peel back the layers of trauma and you get to the root and you heal from the root, and then all of the petals fall away and you are healed. And like, that's not my experience. Maybe it's someone else's experience, but it's not mine. Also, a lot of people who have PTSD are on anxiety medication to help when they can't manage their own emotions using therapy coping mechanisms. So let's see. I think I just have 2 left. I have so many. So it's just like adding by the day. Side note, this is the reason I have so many things going on in my brain. This is why I'm trying to get Social Security disability insurance, because I don't believe that I am able to work anymore. I think that my brain malfunctioned, had a major malfunction, and I don't think it can heal from it. Not all of these disorders are necessarily debilitating, or fully debilitating, I should say. But for me, all of them combined have led to full debilitation. So, next thing I'll talk about is borderline personality disorder. This is a very controversial, polarizing disorder. So borderline personality disorder is very often born out of trauma. And you become unable to regulate your emotions. You cycle through emotions quickly. You're quick to fly off the handle. You're quick to cry. A lot of people develop manipulation tactics to get people to react a certain way so they know how to react. It's very it's so messy. It is such a fucking gross disorder to have. Just speaking from my own experience having it, I'm not saying people who have it are gross. I'm just saying my experience with it, it is reckless. It is absolutely reckless. There is a great therapy method for borderline personality disorder. It was developed specifically for it, but it works for a lot of things. And it's called dialectical behavioral therapy. Now, most therapists work in the cognitive behavioral therapy space. DBT is different in how it enters your brain, if that's one way. I see I see a person help me and didn't help. The person wanted me and my job. I told her no, I won't. I need the money. I have bills to pay for. Yeah, I mean that's a really hard thing, But also I think when you see a therapist or when you talk to someone, they can give you advice, but it's always your decision on how you do it. The money situation is constantly a struggle for people who are mentally ill. And it's why there are so many homeless mentally ill people. I constantly think about homeless veterans who are untreated with their PTSD and and can't function in society because they don't have the aids that they need. I constantly think about that. It burrows into my brain. But just mentally ill people and mentally ill people are more likely to start using substances to self-medicate. And that can lead to addiction and all their money's gone now and they can't afford to feed themselves or keep a roof over their head. It's so messy. It's so hard being mentally ill. And I'm saying that as a very privileged person. And I'm privileged because of the color of my skin. I'm privileged because my parents have a house where I can live in rent free. That's not something that everybody gets. I recognize my privilege, but I see what's going on in the world, and it's terrifying. It's terrifying to think that, like, you're the, like, the wall between you and being on your ass for real is so fucking thin. It's scary, and, like, I'm, like, getting worked up. I'm trying to, like, explain my experience, but, like, the thing is, my experience is messy. My history is messy. I've made a lot of mistakes. My brain has caused me to do all kinds of harm that I can't undo. So, sorry, I'll reel it in a little bit. I don't want to get too soapboxy. I tend to do that. But the money situation gets me. Sorry, I need to breathe. Jesus, that's so worked up. Oh, don't end the stream. Push through. Oh, I wish my wife was here. I want a hug so bad. Can you all just type in, like, virtual hugs so I feel like someone's hugging me? Please. Oh, God. Oh, fuck. Oh. I want to cry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is not what I intended. I should have known. Ugh. It's worse when you're sleep deprived. Oh, thank you, Lydia. I appreciate it. So, with borderline personality disorder, it's like every emotion lights up every nerve in your body, and you are so sensitive. You are so sensitive. And the slightest thing can push you over the edge. I'm really sorry. I'm not doing this for fucking show or whatever. Oh God, I feel so stupid. Oh God. Fuck. So yeah, with borderline, everything is just intensified. You experience depression, and then it's intensified. You experience just regular sadness, and then it's intensified. Like, everything is just like, you are so hypersensitive. It's kind of like being sunburned, but emotionally. Like, if anything touches you, it will hurt so bad. And that's kind of like what borderline. You look exhausted. Go take a nap. I can't take a nap. This is the worst. Okay, sorry. Okay, I'm really sorry. I'm really, really sorry about that. So, it is, very, difficult to find treatment, as someone who has borderline personality disorder. Um, like I said, there's a treatment modality that is made for it, made by a borderline person, a borderline therapist who developed this treatment. It's very effective, but it's so hard because how therapy works in general. You have a bad emotion that you're trying to avoid. So you use a coping mechanism before you get to that emotion. And thank you, Cami. I appreciate that. You're so sweet. You both are so sweet. And thank you for watching this and sticking with me and watching me cry and have like the world's tiniest panic attack. It definitely, I only hyperventilated for like a couple seconds maybe. So, improvement, coping, and like moods shift on a dime. It is fucking bizarre. So my nose is still running from crying. It's very, but like there are many therapists who will refuse to see you more than not. So there are many therapists who will not treat borderline personality disorder. They've had too many bad experiences, or they, I did a treatment program from last October to this January. It was virtual, so I didn't go anywhere. I wasn't in any different place. I think I mentioned that I was in it, but I don't know. But one of the therapists, she was a newly graduated with her master's in social work, and which is what most therapists have. I think all therapists have. But she said, so this is like current. This isn't like back in the day. This is current. The current teachings of how to treat borderline personality disorder is it's untreatable. That's the current teaching, which is fucking awesome for me. And so that idea is totally bonkers. The reason why borderline is really hard to treat is because, I said, you have your emotion you don't want. You use a coping mechanism to block that emotion, that negative emotion. Well, when you're borderline, that space is almost non-existent. The space between you and experiencing that emotion is almost non-existent. And you just are so quick to like be in that emotion that you're like, how do I wedge a coping mechanism before that? How do I stop that? I keep on going like this. I feel like I'm like fisting the air, even though I'm not making a fist. I'll make a fist next time. So I like the stigma against borderline is so real. I can't even, like, I'm going to tell you something and it may shock you. It may not shock you, but this is not an uncommon belief. So I had a psychiatrist when I lived in Charlotte. I had a psychiatrist and he was wrong on a lot of levels and actually fairly inappropriate. But we're going to get past that. But he said, so I was diagnosed with borderline when I was 15. I saw him when I was like 25, 26. He told me, you can't have borderline personality disorder because I can stand to be in the room with you. This is a fucking medical doctor who said, I can't have it because I don't want to be in the same, I wouldn't be able to be in the same room as you. What the fuck? right? It's fucked up. Every therapist I've ever told about that, who's worth their salt, or whatever the expression is like, what the fuck? That's really wrong. That is not good. People with people who are also with borderline are also known to have a lot of interpersonal issues. This can manifest in a ton of ways, and has for me. But it, some people can develop, like I said, like a manipulative kind of way where and I did this when I was younger. I didn't realize I was doing it, and it pushed a lot of people away. I heard a lot of people doing this, but I was constantly like manipulating them to have the emotion I wanted so that I could have my emotions mirror, like, whatever. I don't know, deal with that. So I was manipulating people. I was constantly lying. I became a compulsive liar, which is crazy to think now, because I'm like, I like to think I'm the most honest person I know. To a fault. Like, I can't shut my fucking mouth. When I see something, I gotta say something. Um, and and so the stigma is very real in the mental health community. There are very public um, uh, um, with the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard um, story that unfolded, was it last year? She has borderline personality disorder. She also has comorbid, which means she also has histrionic uh, disorder. I guess that's what it's called. Histrionic personality disorder. It's personality disorder. So she has those going on together. And those combined are like fucking ah, like put borderline on like steroids. But anyways, but when they were doing the trial and it was coming out of all the things she did, I don't know if you followed that. If you didn't, just disregard this part of this video. But uh a lot of those behaviors that she exhibited were clearly untreated, unmanaged borderline personality disorder coming out, being very shitty to your partner, to people you're close with. With borderline, you tend to hurt the people you are the closest with, because borderline a lot of times coexist with abandonment issues. So you push people away, and then you're like, please come back, please come back, please come back. And like, when me and Mel have a fight, like, my go-to is like, please don't leave me, please don't leave me, please don't leave me. Like, I'll say something stupid. It always starts with me saying something stupid, and she'll react, and I will instantly be like, I'm the fucking worst, and I'm gonna fucking explode, and she's gonna leave me, and I'm gonna be alone forever, and blah, 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 blah. Like, that's, your brain is going a million miles an hour. It is just like, you just feel like you are I don't even know. There's no metaphor for borderline. It's just it's just you can cycle through emotions so quickly. Um, Before I touch on bipolar, and I'm gonna go in depth on bipolar because that's a big one. Um, I mean, these are the big two: borderline and bipolar. But I also have anxiety disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, GAD, and it just means that I have a lot of fucking anxiety, And I also have panic attacks. I have panic attacks where I can't move, I can't speak, I can't do anything. And these can last for hours. And I was at the end of my work career, I was having them at work. I would go in like one of the meeting rooms. I'd lock the door and I'd lie on the ground and just hyperventilate and cry. Arguments with parents. I have the biggest fear that they're going to kick me out of the house. Yeah. I mean, that's a totally rational fear. And like, you know, like Mel, bless her heart, is like really trying to like manage like my relationship with my parents. My relationship with my parents is very turbulent. I'll just put it that way. And she's constantly trying to like manage our relationship with the upstairs because we need a place to live. And so I've put up with some things that I really don't want to put up with because I need a roof over my head. Going back to the money thing. Don't go there. Don't go there. Oh my god. I don't know if you can see, but I'm visibly shaking. One of the side effects of my medicine is very, very, very occasional facial twitching. I'm very self-conscious about it. With other meds, it's been pretty severe. And they always take me off the med and put me on something different, because that's the side effect, facial twitching, that if left untreated, or if you like left on the medicine, you can develop this thing called tardive dyskinesia, or TD, and you will have facial twitches for the rest of your life, no matter what medication you're on. And it's bad. Like, when I'm really tired, when just like there's some, like when I'm really tired is when it really comes out. But yeah, my mouth will start twitching, or if I've smiled too much, which I know sounds stupid, but if I smile too much, my muscles will get tired and they no longer can stop the twitching from happening. So, side effect of medication, great. But yeah, I feel like I don't need to talk about my anxiety that much because it's pretty clear in like everything I've said. It kind of seeps into everything and makes it worse. So my anxiety is very bad. It is debilitating. And I'm not saying that to be dramatic or to exaggerate. My anxiety is crippling. But let's move on to my final one, bipolar disorder. So I feel like every time I turn around, there's a new type of bipolar disorder. Um, so, um, and bipolar in general, um, people just think you're crazy. Like, if 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 you if you're like, oh, my friend has bipolar disorder, they're like, oh, you must be crazy. Like, and like that is just such a first of all, it's shitty. Um, I guess last of all, it's shitty. So with with bipolar disorder, so I have on my other medication had me in a bad way for my depression. Oh, I hate to hear that. Yeah, depression's really hard. So, and I say that quickly because I'm going to talk more about depression. So I'm not disregarding that at all. Um, like I said, like I want you all to feel like very validated, and like your experience is like totally valid, and like I empathize or sympathize depending on the condition, with what you've dealt with. So I have bipolar disorder type 1. Type 2 is a little bit calmer. And then the type 3 is cyclothymia, which is basically all like your periods of ups and periods of downs are generally longer, and you don't get so you get hypomanic, but you don't experience mania. So to be diagnosed with having mania, I don't know why I'm doing this. It's a real thing. To be diagnosed with having mania, you have to have a manic episode lasting longer than 7 days. And that's how you get from bipolar 2, which I said is less, whatever, which is milder. It's less spicy. People with bipolar 2 can experience mania and hypomania, which means below mania. It's still intense, but it's not as intense as mania. And the line is very blurred for me on like when something is one or the other. But anyways, but you can still have manic episodes, but they are shorter, so you don't get classified under bipolar 1. So bipolar 1 is so you have at least experienced one manic episode lasting longer than 7 days, or you have been hospitalized for a manic episode. If you're manic and you go into the hospital, you're automatically bipolar 1. Like, that's just what it is. Unless it's like drug induced, and then I think you get moved down, but like, whatever. So, you can experience, so bipolar, 2 poles, like bi means 2. So I will often wave my hands like this when I'm talking about bipolar and my mood. So what I'm visualizing is a graph that is often shown with bipolar disorder. So if you look in the middle of the screen, just draw an imaginary line. That's baseline. That's everything's good, everything's calm, you're not too excited, and you're not too sad. And so that is baseline. And then, oh my gosh, it's 1:30? Holy fuck. That just blew my fucking mind. God, that was really hard to come back from. I was like, turn your head, focus on camera. You're getting to see my mental illnesses today. So I don't know why my camera just like, I don't know. It's an old computer. I don't know. I'm sorry. So depression. Let's talk about depression. First of all, there are very high suicide rates for both borderline and bipolar. So it is very important to have a care team and a safety plan. A lot of bipolar people will be hospitalized or will be in some kind of treatment program or facility. It's very common because the lows can be excruciatingly low. And with your depression, Lydia, I know you have experienced lows, um, and they can be devastating. They can be just remarkably low, and you can just want it. So, with borderline, suicidality can be like I always use this example because this exact example has happened to me. Someone has cut me off in traffic when I was 5 minutes away from my house. By the time I got to my house, I was ready to kill myself. And that's how quickly your brain devolves into this person's a jackass. Maybe it's my fault. I'm a fucking idiot. I deserve to die. That's what your brain does. It is very sudden, and it is very intense. With bipolar depression to suicide, it's kind of like drowning is the best way I can do it. You just become underwater, and there's no escape, and you are looking for any escape. I have heard, and I don't know how to say this without sounding like mine is worse than yours. So Lydia, please do not take it like that. Your depression is very real and affects your life. I'm not discounting that at all. But so my wife has depression. She has a major depressive disorder. That's the technical diagnosis for depression. Major depressive disorder. So she has MDD. And I have bipolar disorder, which is classified as a mood disorder. And when I went through my really long depression, my longest depression probably ever, when I took a break from YouTube and I was just gone, I was just having this terrible depression where I didn't get out of bed, other than to use the restroom for months. And I couldn't do anything. I couldn't pick up my phone. I couldn't call for help. If Mel needed to leave for the store, I couldn't call my dad, who's upstairs. I couldn't call Mel to come back. I couldn't do any of that. So I was completely debilitated, right? And it was so deep, and it was so painful. There's that commercial that's depression hurts, and it's oh my gosh, it does. Your body physically hurts. And Mel was talking to her therapist because Mel was having a really hard time understanding how deep my depression was. And so she talked to her therapist, who is very well versed in all of my conditions, and is a great therapist. I haven't seen her, but Mel's had great results with her, so 2 thumbs up. If you're looking for a North Carolina therapist, she's your girl. But Mel was I don't understand, because she was getting really frustrated because she's you can't do any, she didn't say this to me, but she was just really confused. She's you can't do anything. You can't brush your teeth. You can't shower. Like basic hygiene. I was barely eating. Sometimes with depression you eat a lot, and sometimes with depression you don't eat at all. And it really just depends on whatever is going on. But she was like, if I am depressed, I can get up, I can make myself, she had to like really work for it, but she could make herself do things. If she was depressed, she could make herself go to work or something like that. And if I'm really depressed, I can't do that. And Mel was just frustrated because I was just fucking dead, stinky weight. That sounds extra gross, but it's kind of accurate. So, um, so her therapist said that's the difference between a mood disorder, like bipolar, and depression. A mood disorder is just, I don't, that's all she said, so I don't know how to interpret that. Take that what you will. Doesn't mean that people who are suffering with major depressive disorder don't get super depressed, don't get suicidal. Like, it doesn't mean any of that. It just means, like, for some reason, it being a mood disorder, and I don't really know what makes a mood disorder. I don't really know what makes a personality disorder. I don't know that level of details. Haven't done that much research, apparently. But it's just like, it's so cripplingly deep that you basically cease to be a human, and you require a caretaker because you will die because you will not feed yourself. Like, that's what it's like. Like, I was seeing a therapist. I'd see her on my phone. I wouldn't get out of bed. And she was also not the best. But she was like, because I was like, like, Mel's my caretaker, like, blah, 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 blah. And she was like, your wife is not your caretaker. She's your wife. And I was like, she's my wife, but like, I literally can't function. Like, I need a caretaker. It doesn't have to be my wife. It could be anybody. It could be like a random person off the street. I don't care. I need a caretaker. But just so you all know, and just to be honest, like, like I said, sometimes I'm honest to a fault. But like my depression and my spiral, and I spiraled, really put a strain on Mel and my relationship. And we're just starting to get to a place where we're working through it, and we're like healing from that trauma. Like I said, anything can cause trauma, and that was traumatic for both of us. Fuck, it was hard. I was also having manic episodes around that, like at the beginning and the end of that. I had a lot of manic episodes. And mania, for some people, they enjoy it. They're like, yay, I'm so glad I'm manic. I feel so free. I'm on top of the world. I should run for president. Like, they like, you get these like, so it's like grandiose thinking, risk taking behaviors. You're not sleeping, you're not eating, you're spending all your money. Things that's mania and hypomania. Hypomania is just like, you're not quite touching. Like, I guess for me, if I had to like describe the difference between hypomania and mania. It's when I lose all control. Like mania, all bets are off. Like I had a manic episode within the past week. It was very short. Thank God. Thank God. But let's just say I did something that I could have killed myself doing. I didn't intend on killing myself. I thought that I couldn't die. And that compulsion that is often associated with OCD. Like I had compulsions. Like I never have compulsions to do shit. Like compulsions to sit on my ass and do nothing. But like I had compulsions where like I had to do this, and you can't you can't claw it out of my fucking fist, and I'm fucking invincible, and I'm gonna fucking do this, and I don't give a shit. It is a mess. You like depression, you might, you might hurt quite a few people on the way down, but with mania, you can cause utter and total chaos and destruction in your life. It is like just riding a fucking wrecking ball and just fucking going hard on it. And some people feel great doing it. I feel like I feel like I'm made of electricity, and I feel like I want to fight people. I want to physically fight people. I don't want to beat up my wife. I've never had that thought. It's not, it's not, don't worry about Mel's safety. But I just want to, like, I think I can punch through all the walls. I can punch through this solid brick. I can fucking lift my 70-pound dog up and fucking throw him in the air if I want to. I fucking can do it. It's just talking about it. There's no way to talk about it without being like excitable, because it's just that. And then there's this mythical baseline. So I didn't finish drawing my graph. So this is baseline right here in the middle. Hypomania is this section right here. Mania is this section right here. Back to baseline. Slight depression. Deep depression. So they often draw a wave going through all of the experiences. And so you might be up here for a long time, and then it's the thing about bipolar is it is chronic, it is cyclical, it is you're always gonna have an episode. You can be baseline for years and years and years and years. I was baseline for almost 10 years. And then I wasn't. So it's a messy disorder, but like there's still a stigma associated with bipolar. So like we were watching Cold Justice, which is this woman, a district attorney, goes and solves, or maybe I don't know what she is actually, but she goes and tries to solve cold cases, Cold Justice, and they were a list of suspects, right? And for this murder that happened, and like 10, 15, 20, who cares, years ago. And so they have very little evidence on any of the suspects. And she points at the person who's known to have bipolar and says, well, we know he's crazy. This is a fairly recent show. And that's the kind of language we use to talk about people who are mentally ill. And so I know I unloaded a lot. I cried. Let's not talk about it. Let's just pretend like it didn't happen. You saw a lot of emotions from me. I swear that none of this was put on. Like, I truly do have all of these mental illnesses, and I am disabled. So there's a reason I'm disabled. It's because my mental illnesses are so bad. I can't function in a workplace anymore. I used to be able to. I really miss working. It gave me purpose. It made me feel like I had accomplished something, and it was ripped away from me because my brain doesn't cooperate. It's really sad when I think about it, so I'm gonna try to backtrack. I'm gonna try to backtrack a little bit. But if you or someone you love is struggling with your mental health, 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 first of all, there's a suicide hotline if things get really bad. Do not hesitate to call them. There's also a text line. I have used this text line. I've never called in because like I said, if I'm in that headspace, I can't pick up a phone to call for some reason. And there are days I don't want to get out of bed. Hey, Zach, thanks for coming in. Yeah, depression is fucking for real. I was talking about Lydia's depression. Like, it's fucking for real. And it, like, I keep on saying for real because I don't know what else to say. But, like, it is very difficult. And depression looks different for everybody. Some people lose weight, some people gain weight, some people sleep all the time, some people don't sleep at all. It really varies, but depression is really hard on a lot of people. So many people have depression. So many people have undiagnosed depression. And it's really like, for me, as someone who, I like to think of myself as kind of like a mental health expert because I have all of the diagnoses. But, like, if you see someone, like, you start to be able to, like, really tell when people have probably have certain disorders or diseases. And, like, so, like, if when you see someone suffering from depression and they're not treating it, you're like, kind of like, you want to kind of handle them with, like, white gloves, and help guide them in the way of, like, getting better. I highly suggest therapy. I know that therapy can be very expensive. There are a lot of support groups, like community center support groups for people dealing with certain mental illnesses, that are free to go to. It's like an AA meeting, but it's for depression or for something else. If you have insurance, a lot of therapists and psychiatrists take insurance, more so than not, because they want to make therapy affordable. They want to let people have access to care. There's tools like BetterHelp, which I've used BetterHelp. I used BetterHelp for a while. For my personal diagnoses, it's not quite a fit, but for someone who, doesn't have every diagnosis that exists, it might be helpful. It is expensive. One of my old therapists told me about, it was like talk something. Talk. Did I look it up? Talkspace. Talkspace is the name. So I haven't looked into that one, but I just heard about it, like literally, like a day ago or something. So there are resources out there. Also, having a good support system, having people around you that make you feel safe, that make you feel comfortable, that will hold you accountable when you are out of line for whatever reason. Because like not all mental illnesses manifest in ways where you're suicidal. Some of them, or like super depressed, some of them manifest in ways where you lash out at people, like I was talking about with my borderline, even my bipolar. Like you're prone to like lashing out at people, especially the people you love. Yeah, and some days are better than other days, and it's like it's easy to like get into like a a dark place because something bad happens, or maybe nothing happens and your mood just fucking goes in the toilet. So just know that I love to support my friends. I consider you all my friends. And if you ever want to talk about anything, feel free to message me. I will do my best to message you back. I'm not great at that. It's the ADHD, I think. Also, I think it's got to do with like if I'm depressed and like that. But we'll work it out. We'll work it out. Have a good support system. Start confiding in people. Start telling people what you're experiencing. Like some people, I'm a big believer that like some people, you never know what someone else is going through, unless they tell you. So you burped. Good job, Zach. Good job. So if maybe if you have some close friends, or if you're really close to your family or anything like that, talk to them about what you experience. To use a personal example, I was in couples counseling. I do couples counseling with my wife, and this couples counselor is much better than my other one. Oh, here's another borderline stigma moment. Our previous couple therapists that we had told Mel I was emotionally abusing her because I had borderline personality disorder. And I was like, I love Mel with my whole heart, and then some. I, like, as much love as I have to give is all towards Mel. Mel is my, like, there's a thing called favorite person, with borderline personality disorder, where they're the kind of person who, like, they get all your love, but they also kind of get all the shitty things too. Zach, I'm looking in the camera because I want to look you in the eye. And this goes to everyone but Zach, because he said it. I'm talking to you. They will not judge you. I have done horrific things. I haven't killed anyone. Like, I just like to be clear. I haven't killed anyone. It's not cold justice. But they are there to help you and create a judgment-free zone. If any therapist ever makes you feel judged, get the fuck out and tell them to fuck off. You deserve to get help. It is so freeing to get things out. And sometimes you'll talk about real deep stuff that happened in your past. Zach, I know you've had a hard life. I'm sure all of you have had your ups and your downs. Like, life sucks sometimes. Sometimes it sucks pretty much all the time. But they are there to listen and help you. Sometimes you'll go to a therapy session and it'll be deep and you'll talk about all this stuff. And like, for me, it'll be like the time I tried to kill myself, and like, like sometimes it's deep. And sometimes it's like, I was at work and this person was pissing me off and I couldn't deal with them. So I slammed the door and I walked out. And so sometimes it's just like, there are different levels of like how deep you go. You are in the driver's seat. You control where the conversation goes. You share what you want to share. Therapy has changed my life. Therapy is the reason I'm here and not on the ground. I'm telling you that for fucking sure. Lydia, I'm so glad I have a friend in you too. I'm so glad. I truly am. I'm so glad to have all of you just here as friends. Like, I just see us as friends. Like, I don't do this like weird fan thing. That's weird. You guys are just my friends. But Zach, please, if you have the resources, go to therapy. If things are different, then look for support groups. They're out there. Like, there's also like I'm in a lot of Facebook groups for my disorders. Like, every disorder I have, I'm in a group for. So like, I'm in a bipolar disorder group, and people are talking about their, what happened to them, how do I deal with this, stuff like that. Like, a Facebook group is a great tool. And like, when you're in a good place, someone else might be in a bad place, and so they can post like, hey, I'm in a bad place, and you can be like, hey, stick with it. That, so everybody has depression in those groups if you join a depression group. So like, who's gonna judge you for being depressed? But it's so I'm reading what you're saying. I'm not even gonna say it out loud, because here's the thing, that it's not stupid. It is a perfectly valid human thought to feel nervous about being judged, especially with something that's happening in our brain that we feel like we don't have any control over, and you feel like totally helpless. It's not stupid to be like, I'm just crazy, or like, I just, it's not stupid, but you're wrong. Can I say that in like the nicest way possible? You will not be judged. I promise you. I promise you. Find a Facebook group. That's a minimum. Find a Facebook group. Some are better than others. There's going to be a ton of them. If you are at the point where you feel like you need help, that's the time to strike. That's time to go in. I will tell you, I know in the US, a lot of therapists have waiting lists. So there is, so let me see if I can spell. Nope. Psychology Today. Why can I not spell psychology? Psychology. So, I don't think it's psychology. It might be. If it's not psychologytoday.com, then just search Psychology Today. Now, this is a publication in the US, so I don't know, and basically it's like Craigslist for therapists, and you might be able to find people in Canada. If not, you can just search psychologist near me, and you can start reading about, and people will have profiles about what they specialize in. Psychology Today is for everyone. Like, if you're looking for a therapist, that's the way to go, because they'll do a full write-up of what they specialize in, what they work in, all that stuff. You can, if they take insurance, all that stuff. So there's got to be an equivalent for Canada, but I don't know it, unfortunately. So I'm really sorry I can't provide any resources for you. But like I said, minimum Facebook group. It like honestly, like I get so much help from my bipolar group. Um, but I also the admin is a dick, and like I had a manic episode, like I said, within the past week, and it was so bad. It was so bad. Like I said, I did something that I could have killed myself doing. Like I could have died doing. And I was like, I can't die. I don't know what I was thinking. I wasn't thinking. My brain just was doing things and it was moving my body, and I was kind of along for the ride. So I was describing my experience in a post that I was going to post in my bipolar group, and I posted a picture of me that I just looked haggard as fuck. Like I looked exhausted, kind of looked like I do now. But like no, I like my face was like gone. Like I uh I had to throw up. And so you know how when you throw up, you never look your best afterwards. Um, so I just looked like shit, and I did that because like in a lot of places, like a lot of pages, you have to post a picture to like get anyone to read it. So I posted just a selfie of me looking like shit. Like it wasn't like anything, and I'm just complaining now, but uh it, like the admin had to approve the post before it was posted, and they denied my post, and I was like, I like the rule that they had was no uh like trying to date people or something, and I was like, what the fuck? So I did like another post, and I was like, I did a post, like it said I was trying to date people. I was talking about how I like have like a terrible manic episode. What the fuck? And they're like, "Oh, you posted a selfie." Yeah, so like it was because I literally posted a picture of myself looking like shit. Oh, and the description of it was like no dating or like seeking partners. Um, don't post a selfie. It's just pathetic. Like that's what they said, and I was like, "Fuck these people." So I'm kind of off that page for a while, but like I'll find another group. Yeah, Zach, talk to talk to whoever you feel comfortable talking to, and it may help if you want to like go over how you want to approach it with people with me. Like I'm here for you. I'm here for all of you. So just let me know if you need some support. I got your back. When I have bad days, you have my back. I mean, you have all proven that you have my back. So you don't have to do anything extra. Like you've already proven that you have my back. I literally cried on here, and you gave me a hug. Like those things mean a lot to me. So I want to return the favor and be here for you too. So don't be afraid to message. I'm friends. I'm not friends with you on Facebook, Lydia. Am I? I know you're in Army of Weirdos, but I don't think I'm friends with you on Facebook. I might be mistaken. But if we're not friends, let's become friends. You can always message me. I have no life. I am disabled. so, so yeah. So get help if you need it. If you were thinking about hurting yourself or hurting someone else, please, please, please call the suicide hotline. There's suicide hotlines everywhere in Canada, out of Canada. Hi, Michaela. Welcome in. Yeah, we're talking about mental health. I'm kind of right here at the end because I've been talking for 2 hours, and it is 2 p.m. and I am tired. But I just want to say if you are in danger, please, please, please seek out help. Do not delay that. If you call these hotlines, they're not going to call the police on you. Just so you know. They're going to talk to you, and they're going to talk you down. they're gonna say, if you're not getting talked down, if you're staying at that level, they will suggest you call 911. It's what they do. It's what they have to do. That's how they prevent people from doing something that they can get through, but they don't feel like they can get through. If you know what I'm saying. There are many therapists, many psychiatrists, many IOP, PHP, residential, all those things. If you know what they mean, you know what they mean. They're all different levels of care depending on how much help you need. So and there's always the hospital. You can go to the ER and be like, I'm not safe, and and they'll take you in. So what the hell? What the hell do I? Oh, you're talking about the bipolar group? I don't know. But yeah, so you're well versed in the world of mental health. Well, congratulations. I mean, maybe not congratulations, depending on what your involvement is. If you're soaked in all of the diagnoses like me, or if you got a couple things going on, or if you're a therapist. But I just want to promote talking about mental health, being open about it. There's no, like, I'm not going to say no one's going to judge you in the world, because there's going to be dicks out there. There are dicks. But in this community that we have here, you're not going to be judged. If you go to a therapist, you will not be judged. And like I said, if for whatever reason you are judged, you tell them to fuck off and you get out. And you don't give them money. Like, they don't deserve your money. Just because they're a therapist, they're a shitty therapist. I think we're friends on Facebook. Okay, cool. Yeah, so, Michaela, if you want to join the fam, I do have a Facebook group, free to join. It's in the description box below. It's called Army of Weirdos. It's the one with the green pillow in the picture. Oh my gosh, we literally have, I have all those things. I literally went through all of my diagnoses, and it took 2 hours. and I cried. But yes, I have CPTSD. I described the difference between CPTSD and PTSD. I have bipolar 1. I have anxiety. I have ADHD. I have borderline personality disorder. I have agoraphobia, and I have an eating disorder. Did I miss any? I'm always like, I feel like there's one more. I'm just trying to get diagnosed, I guess, at this point. I don't know. I am the DSM. I love that you're supporting each other. That makes me happy. Yeah, Michaela, really, come join the family. I don't talk about mental health all the time because, like, honestly, like, sometimes it's just, I want to just crochet. But I also, like, will talk about, a bad ear infection. Those is the worst. My wife had one this year. I know they're not common in adults, which I'm sure you know because you have one and you probably saw a doctor. Maybe you saw a doctor. I don't know your life. But my wife, like, she was like losing hearing in like one ear, and like it was like going into her sinuses or some fucking shit. Like, it was crazy. I'm really sorry that you have that bad ear infection. I really hope that clears up for you. I did something. I wrote it wrong. Sorry? What? What for? Don't be sorry. Yeah. Oh, I hate when you can see my boobs. It's fucking gross. Can't wait to get these fuckers chopped off. Um, but yeah, this has been a very long live. I've been doing a lot of long lives lately. I do have a second channel that I just created. I meant to post the video of pattern making on the other channel. I think I'm just gonna move it. I think I'm just gonna like delete it on this one and post it on the other one. But yes, I have a second channel because this channel is kind of like stalled out a little bit because I fell off the YouTube algorithm. So I'm hoping with the new channel I can kind of get back on that horse. So for now, I'm gonna have my feet in both worlds. I'm still gonna come on here, obviously, but I'm gonna try to move more content over there. This is a really fun sound. My ring. Oh my gosh. So I'm so sweaty and I'm in my boxers, so I don't want to get up. But so I have this like beautiful black tourmaline ring. Um it's really nice. Um it was my birthday present last year. And so black tourmaline, like it's a stone that's kind of like I don't know, just look what tourmaline looks like. I can't describe things, okay? My brain is tired. Um, but but it is a stone that it's not like a smooth stone, it's like ridged and has like if you like punched a brick wall, like pieces of it would fall off. Does that kind of make sense? So when I did the thing with my manic episode earlier, like within this past week, Mel was so worried. Like, this is not to like throw Mel under the bus, by the way. Mel's my wife, if you don't know. But like, Mel was so worried that she was like in a heightened state and like very anxious, and so she was like yelling because like that's the only way that she could like get into my fucking manic brain. And so I like should I just tell what I did? I feel like just like beating around the bush like actually kind of like makes it worse. No, it doesn't. I don't know. Okay, so like I did something that was very dangerous. And I could have died. I know I keep on saying that, but I want to like emphasize how fucking serious this was. This was a really bad manic episode. I'm so thankful that it was short, but it was intense. And so Mel like was like cleaning up my mess, and she was yelling at me just because she was worried. So like again, I'm not trying to throw my wife under the bus. She was doing the best she could at the time. We were all just really struggling, you know. Just saying. But like uh but but I like had this like moment where like all of my um energy went into like self destruction. I don't know if that makes sense. Like I was doing something with the intention of having fun, and it was very dangerous. And so I had all of this like energy, and like my brain is on fire, like, and I am no longer in control of what I'm doing. And I had this ring on. I also had my wedding band on and everything. Thankfully that's fine because it's like tight enough. But I had this ring on and I didn't notice it until I was like calmed down. But I was on the bathroom floor and I viscerally hated myself, but I also wanted to be violent. So I started beating on the tile floor as hard as I could, as hard as I could. And just I started like hitting my head on the floor. Like, I'm telling you, when things get bad, things get really bad. This is not fun. So I laugh because I don't know what else to do. But yes, so I was beating my head on the tile floor. I was beating my hands on the tile floor, and like I broke off part of the stone. Actually don't even know how that happened, and I bent the ring. So a ring is in the shape of a circle, right? It was a fucking semicircle. That's how much I beat my and this is like, it's not like a like cheap metal, like it's like sterling silver, like it's not like a soft metal. And I was raging so hard that I like almost like, luckily I can still wear the ring, but like I mean, if we're looking at silver linings here, um but I bent it so bad that it was like basically stuck on my finger. Like, so bipolar. um, but yeah, so it was messy. It was not my finest moment, and I would say it was my worst manic episode, and probably like 2 years, I want to say. Because I had like a panic attack, which has a long backstory. I had a severe panic attack, and then it led to the manic laugh. Michaela, do you get the manic laugh? Do you know what I'm talking about? Am I crazy? Like, I've heard whispers of it in the bipolar community, but like the manic laugh, where you just start like cackling like a fucking evil villain, like in a movie. um and then I just instantly like shot through hypomania into fucking full on mania, and I was like, I'm gonna destroy everything, but I'm also going to create, because I can do anything. I'm made of electricity. I've described bipolar in just like so many different ways, yet that happens to me. Oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you. I hate the manic laugh. For me, it's like a bad omen. It's like, oh no, bad things are coming. And then like, while like my wife was like cleaning up my mess, and after I was done banging on the floor, she was like, sit down. And so I just like I just like sat on the toilet lid. Um and I still had all of these like fucking crazy emotions in my brain, and I just started laughing, which just like set her off. Because her anxiety is like, ah, and she's like, this motherfucker is laughing right now. I know she knows. I've told her many times about the manic laugh, so she wasn't surprised. But like, the manic laugh is like maniacal, taking over the world, uh gonna fucking, I don't know. Like, it's the weirdest, most, it's so uncomfortable for me. I don't know why people like mania. I don't. I mean, their mania is probably different than mine, but anyways, so I've talked a lot. We're past 2 hours. Oh my god, my boobs. Oh, I hate them. They're getting chopped off in October, as long as I don't get hospitalized. And I almost got hospitalized for what I did this past week. So I kind of feel like it's discrimination, if I'm being honest. Like, so, hello, I'm trans, and I'm getting top surgery. And they're like, you can't have been admitted to the hospital for like mental issues for a year. But then they like changed it slightly for me because I have been. But I was in for a manic episode, I think. No, I was in for. Oh, actually, I was in. On 2 separate occasions, I was in for both. I was in for a manic episode one time, and I was in uh, suicidal episode the next. Anyways, so basically, their role is bullshit. But like, I think like, so the thing is, trans people do have a high rate of suicide, and it's mostly because of like, society accepting them for who they are and coming to terms with who they are, and all those things. So trans people have a high rate of suicide. I hate how much I'm talking about suicide because I hate talking about suicide, but like, I feel like I have to and I'm supposed to. Anyways, so I feel like that rule's in place for people who are what's the word for normies? Not mentally ill, non-neurodivergent people who are just trans. And you're trans, Michaela. Yes. Cool. You need to join my Facebook group because I'm trying to make all of the crocheted trans items for all the trans folks. So do the thing. Please. I want to be friends with you. Like, friends with someone who's bipolar and trans. I've been like looking for like bipolar trans groups on Facebook. But anyways, sorry. I kind of fanboyed over you. So sorry about that. You love crochet also. Cool. I have a free packer pattern. I'm actually making a packer right now. I don't have do I have a completed one here? No, I don't. I have a packer pattern that's free, and then I am in the works of making and getting some testers for tucking panties. So like, I'm really trying to like, I'm trying to be accommodating to the whole spectrum of gender, because we need affordable options. We need comfy options. If you can make something with crochet that's not like silicone, like, it's so much cheaper. So, um, so yeah, I did fanboy it. I'm really sorry about that. That's a little embarrassing. But fucking fuck. Okay, but yeah, so I think that they like are thinking we don't want a suicidal trans person to go through this surgery. They're like, recovery is so hard, and we don't want you to be depressed while you're like this way. But like, here's the thing. I'm bipolar. I am borderline. I have anxiety. I have PTSD. It's super uncomfortable. I know, right? I tried a silicone packer. It was like dragging my boxers down. I was like, this is not for me. And it was like hot. Like, it was just fucking hot. I felt like I was on fire. Um, that's a little extreme, but it was just very like hot and like sticky. Um, I also want to make like knitted knockers. There are free patterns for those available on the internet. They have a knitted version and they have a crochet version. They're not the most realistic looking breasts. They're more like breast inserts, but it's something, and the pattern's free. scared for that. It's about halfway done. Woohoo! I'm glad someone's getting something done because all I've done is cry. Yeah, so I really want to I really am focusing on like helping the queer community and helping the trans community feel better in their skin. So I I make my packer out of cotton and polyfill, and it is so comfortable. It's like you get the sensation that you need, but like it's just, oh my gosh, it's been like a dream come true. So if you want to be a pattern tester for anything I'm making, I want to support my trans friends. But yeah, but like, oh yeah, here's the thing. So, but I have all these mental illnesses. Like, me being trans has nothing to do with how suicidal I am. Like, I have all these things going on. It's not, are you like saying that like I can't be, I can't get my gender affirming surgeries that will make me feel better, that will like boost my mood? You're saying that I can't get them because I'm mentally ill? That's fucked up. I'm just saying. I think it's discrimination. I call bullshit. But nobody cares what I think. So, anyways, thank you all for being here, for hanging out with me, for talking with me, for revealing stuff about yourself and talking it out with me. Like I love when we have conversations. I don't ever want to just be like preachy and just like blah, blah, blah. That's not fun for me, and it doesn't like enrich my life at all. But when we have conversations, I feel better about what you know deciding to click go live. It makes me feel better, and you all are amazing and amazing friends. So Michaela, I'm looking at you. If you want to join Army of Weirdos, it's a green pillow that says fuck because it's me, and that's what I made. but yeah, if you want to join. Also, yeah, that second channel that I have, I'm going to start posting more on that. And I'm going to talk about pattern making. I'm going to delete the video off of this channel because I didn't mean to put it on this channel. I'm going to go put it on the other one. So I love you all. You all are great. And I hope you have a great, I was going to say great night because I still think it's like 4 a.m. Oh, my ADHD is just like, time is an illusion. But yeah, so you all are great. I love you all. I'll talk to you later. Bye.